personal tax return. If you have another entity, an S corporation or a C corporation, then it either is going to go on the actual return or be a pass-through, which will come back to your personal return eventually, so you can write it off. So the answer is yes, but you just need to qualify where it goes.
Okay. Good thing you can straighten me out with that piece. So taxes, taxes, taxes. We're talking about filing your taxes. Well, since we're paying so many, can we write taxes off?
You can, but keep this in mind. If you are writing federal income tax checks to the IRS, you cannot write that off as an expense on your IRS return. But state, local, okay, those kind of taxes, they're an expense for you. You can write those off. And if you have employment-related taxes with the IRS, those are also a write-off.
Advertising and promotion. Obviously, we need to market this great company. And so what about those expenses? How should I handle it?
Those expenses are 100% write-off as well. And the one thing that I think people forget is there's this new media in town. It's called social media.
Yeah.
Well, I paid an IT consultant and a social media consultant last year. Got to write off both of those. Okay, even though people say, well, I just paid for the advice on how to position myself with social media, I didn't know that was a write-off. It is indeed, for your business, it is definitely a write-off.
You just made me think of something else. So dealing with this social media, you see that as being a valuable thing for businesses to get into?
I believe it is. I was blind until recently, and when I took a look at the results of just positioning correctly for my business, okay, I got some yield, and I like that. Anything on the positive side, plus it can write off the cost of it, it's a good thing.
Okay, and that's just a bonus for the viewer. So I know
Absolutely.
we're focused on taxes, but since you mentioned it, so we just went over 14 key areas that people can write off deductions, write off taxes, write off advertising, marketing, vehicle expenses. This is a valuable document. How can someone get their hands on it?
Well, you can actually you can call me, call my office, and I'll be glad to send out an email or a paper copy if necessary. Area code 614-237-6850 is my office number. If I'm busy or my assistant's not available, leave a message. We'll be glad to get you the documentation.
Okay, wonderful. Now then, a few more questions here. We went over the common deductions. Let's talk about the IRS for a minute. What are they really focused on with regards to tax returns and business returns? What causes a red flag?
There's a few areas that causes red flags. Before I go into the red flags, just know that if you own a business and operate a business, you're at least twice as likely to be audited by the IRS than if you just file a personal return. But when they look at your returns, they look at extraordinarily high deductions compared to the averages. They also look at estimated or rounded off numbers, okay? And they look at everything in proportion to your income. I mean, if you're claiming a high expense compared to your income and nobody else in your industry is claiming a high expense, you might get audited.
Okay. Valuable advice there. Any other areas that the IRS may be focused on?
Well, employment taxes. There's always a controversy of, is this a W-2 employee or is this an independent contractor that I can pay by 1099 miscellaneous? There's a 20-question list the IRS has on the website. If you don't answer those questions correctly and you choose wrong, you could be paying interest and penalties on top of tax.
Wow. Okay. Next question. There's various forms of business ownership, LLC, partnership, corporation, subchapter S, on and on. What's the best form that a company should start or set up?
Very good question, Thomas. And I can tell you this, it's not easy to answer because each individual has to take a look at their situation, what they're trying to do, and I believe they should be taking their information to a qualified legal and accounting professional. There are a lot of nuances to each type of entity, benefits, pros and cons, and costs associated with them. So really, that's a hard question to answer until you look at all the particulars, but also just kind of see what that individual is trying to do.
So they should hire a professional to determine the structure of their company, and again, that professional can be written off as a tax deduction.
Absolutely. Both points are true. Hire a professional before you make a potential mistake. But number two, pay them, and they will make sure that you get to write it off, and you'll have the information to make sure your business is more successful.
All right. Question number 9. This is a big one. Seems prudent to hire a tax professional, but and there's tons of code changes. What could be the tax implication of not hiring a tax professional?
One of the biggest ones is simply paying more tax. If you're not organized, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to write off, you'll be paying more tax. So your profits are going toward paying Uncle Sam or the state or the city. That's really the biggest issue with not taking care of that issue.
All right. Well, again, you're very knowledgeable, and I love it. Now, you've been in business a long time. Do you have any tips for those people who want to start a business based on your 20-something years of experience? What should they do when they begin to go into business?
Number one, write a business plan. Very important. I don't try to travel from here to Amarillo, Texas without a roadmap, okay? Write a business plan and use the resources, everything from local government, chambers of commerce. You've got resources online that you can also tap into, and find someone that you know who might be in business or in the same business that you're looking to go into. Tap into somebody else's mistakes.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about some examples. Obviously, we don't want you to get into specific names, but give us some of your tax success stories where someone came into your office, you were able to help them save some money or something, and then I want to hear maybe a horror story.
Well, for example, I had a couple that came in, they had an LLC, they were in a service business, and they were saying, well, we have our paperwork, but we don't know what to do, make heads or tails, and I know we both work, but we also probably have some deductions, but where do we start? Well, after looking at their income taxes, after redoing their income taxes, they were able to each get on their personal taxes additional refunds they didn't expect. And guess where that money went? Right back into the business.
Okay.
Okay. Horror story. Well, from time to time, I'll get somebody who will come into my office, and I had somebody came into my office with an audit notice. Audit notice, well, they didn't act on the audit notice. The time frame had expired. The IRS was after them with vigilant collection. And even though I was able to stop the collection at that point, if they'd have got to me earlier, we probably could have worked things out a little bit better. They ended up paying less than they thought, but because they let the time expire, anytime you receive notices from any government agency talking about your taxes, you must act now.
Okay, good advice, excellent advice. So we've talked about a lot over these last, 20, 25 minutes. Put it in a capstone for us. Wrap it up. What is the key advice that you want to leave with the viewers today?
Key advice would be prepared before you need it. If you don't know what you're trying to do, find somebody qualified who's willing to work with you, who has the experience to make sure that you can miss the landmines, okay? Also, plan and plan again. Continue to use your business plan, review and revise.
Okay, great. We actually have a couple more minutes. Our folks just told me, so let's go back a little bit. What's the difference between, there's capital expense deductions that you can use, right? Capital write-offs. What's a capital write-off?
A capital write-off is typically a larger expense that you are using in your business, such as equipment that lasts more than a year, something that's a key piece of what you do. It could be even a franchise fee. Anything that's larger than just a few dollars, few $100s that lasts more than 12 months could be considered a capital deduction.
Okay, so you said a major piece of equipment costing more than $1,000?
Well, more than a few $100s. Something that's going to last more than a year is really the guideline between it being a supply and it being equipment or capital purchase.
Okay. Well, you've convinced me to come to you now again, so I'm going to be one of your clients. So what am I going to bring to you tomorrow when I come see you?
Well, if you're going to be doing taxes, I want to see 2 to 3 years worth of income tax returns. If you have business that you've already done, I want to see those records. I want to see receipts. I want to see bank statements, credit cards. And I want to see all purchases. And then from there, I'll be able to sit down and show you what information you need to bring to me after that point so we can put this all together and make sure it's a very successful filing.
And do you still have time during this tax season to come and see you? Because we're getting late in February now.
Well, actually, since the April 17 deadline for individuals is still a little ways off, we have time. Businesses are due on March 15th. So most types of businesses, their returns are due a month earlier than individual taxes.
What about extensions?
Extensions are available. Extensions are automatic if you complete the paperwork. However, Thomas, I must tell you, the extension does not extend any money or taxes that are due. If you file an extension and do not pay the tax that's due, or a reasonable portion of it, they can still penalize you and charge you interest on that money until it's paid.
Wow. So basically, get your taxes done.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I actually appreciate you being here. I know it's been a long time since we've actually got to sit down, so excellent advice. Again, give your number to let people know where they can get this list of tips.
Thank you, Thomas. It's area code 614-237-6850.
Okay, wonderful. And if you're looking for opportunities with the City of Columbus, you can go to our website at columbus.gov, click on the Equal Business link. There you'll find links to our partners, as well as links to vendor services where there's over 100 opportunities. Again, we thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Access to Business Opportunities.